Hello and welcome to all of you astrology lovers. Let's get started. I'm going to do a video today about Venus retrograde. It is rare, isn't it? Just the Mars retrograde stopped. It's even in its shadow, and already we have another thing going on. And in this video, I want to go into the depths of the Venus of Scorpio. And probably I'm going to do videos separately for the signs, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it, but bear in mind, this is a general thing about what is this theme of a Venus in Scorpio, and it's quite a unique one, because there's certainly in September going to be also, it's not just the Venus in Scorpio, it's going to oppose Uranus and squaring up to Mars, especially in September. But let's break it down. What does it mean, a retrograde? And this one, how long will it be, etc., etc. Well, first of all, it started today. Today we are Monday here in Ghent, and it's on the 3rd of September. And normally Venus stays in a sign like about a month or so. And now it's going to stay into the same area of our chart like for 4 months. So again, a pretty long time. And everyone's got Scorpio somewhere in their chart. So that's going to be highlighted for everyone, that area. And it's very interesting that we're still in the shadow period of Mars retrograde, because when you look back on the Mars retrograde in Aquarius, it was all about how to assert ourselves in a better way, maybe to fix problems and relationships, to put healthier boundaries, etc., etc. With Venus, the message is a bit different. Venus is not only about love. Of course, it is about love, but for a lot of people, depending on the area of their life where that Venus is in, it's going to be about values. It's going to be about what do I want, what don't I want, what do I desire, because it's in Scorpio, and what do I absolutely don't want in my life anymore. So Venus is a lot about what we value, our self-worth. It's also money, it's also beauty, it's also and let's break it down into the sign, because it's in Scorpio. Now, Venus in Scorpio is a lot about all or nothing. A Venus in Scorpio, if someone has natally Venus in Scorpio, how do they love? Like 100% in a relationship, putting their effort? No. It's like 1,000% in a relationship, putting everything into the relationship. They're super committed people. So if you do have and Venus is Scorpio, it's not, oh my goodness, what happened there? And it still continues to I'm not going to erase that from the video. Venus in Scorpio, it doesn't matter that something is broken or something is not broken. A Venus in Scorpio doesn't look at that. It's the soul they want, okay? I hope this is still, this is not, it's transformation. Venus in Scorpio is transforming through love. So what are we all going to do as from September up until December? We are going to transform probably through a person, depending on the house areas. Let's say it's your 11th house, it would be through a friend, or let's say it's the 3rd house, it might be through a sibling or a neighbor or whatever. But I hope this doesn't happen anymore. Phew. But anyway, we are going to transform something in our life, probably through a person, is going to have a big impact in our life. So we could, for instance, meet someone, a friend, and therefore we shift our value towards work. Maybe we meet a colleague at our work, and because of that person, that would be like Venus in the 6th, for instance. in the 6th house, if we meet that person there, there's going to be so much authenticity about that relationship that puts us towards what we truly desire. And maybe that person is going to stimulate us to maybe leave the job that we're doing, or maybe putting on, trying to get a promotion or something like that. So expect between September and December time that on a certain level in our life, we are going to be transformed. Something is going to, you could say, die and rise again, you know, like the phoenix. So a Venus retrograde is not like a Mars retrograde. Venus is soft, it's gentle, although in Scorpio it's a bit different. But anyways, so Venus in Scorpio is going to show us what we really, really desire. I mean, again, as I said, Venus in Scorpio is not bad or good. It has good stuff, it has a bit less good stuff. The good stuff is it's totally committed, as I already said, and it's extremely, extremely, you know, it doesn't look at like a Venus in Libra, they look very much at the outside. They look at the looks. But a Venus in Scorpio, it really doesn't matter if you're ugly or not ugly, or having a big nose or a big lips or small lips or whatever. No, it wants more. It goes a bit deeper than that. So the Venus in Scorpio is a lot about the whole picture. It's all or nothing. Now, what is the downside of Venus? So hopefully we go towards that Venus in Scorpio. It is a time between September and December to get to know our true desire, our true nature, and to go for that when it's in alignment with the divine. And what do I mean by that? Because when it's not, we are going to notice, and we are going towards the challenge of a Venus in Scorpio. And what is the challenge of a Venus in Scorpio? It has a very dark side, which is obsessiveness, because the nature, the desire nature is not just I want someone, or I want this, or I want this job, or I want to have a baby, or no, the desire nature is I need it. It can be extremely, making someone extremely needy, making someone extremely, you know, the desire is so big that it takes over. And then we go not into passion, because a good Venus in Scorpio is very passionate. A Venus in Scorpio who goes a bit above that, we tend to go towards obsessions and towards things that control us instead of the other way around. So that's the negative side of a Venus in Scorpio. So also some people will have to take that challenge and go through the process of letting go, because that's what a Venus in Scorpio needs to learn in their life. If you have a Venus in Scorpio natally, you will at least once in your life, especially when you are younger, learn that you have to master your desires and that you have to control those desires in a positive way and transcend them to something that is bigger than you, and trust that the universe knows exactly what you want, even when it's giving you something that you don't want. So the big lesson of for all of us is, of course, when we go through the dark side of the Venus in Scorpio, and we let go of that, we let go of the control, we let go of trying to manipulate, these are all the negative traits of Venus in Scorpio: trying to manipulate, trying to do things under the surface, trying to seduct, you know, these kind of things in order for you to get what you want. It's very selfish in that way. And so why does a Venus in Scorpio do these things? Because they have a fear of rejection, basically. They are super, super sensitive. And because they invest so much of their emotions, of their feelings into something, that's why they are not taking no for an answer very easily. So that's why when they are younger, sometimes a Venus in Scorpio person, they start relationships very late, because they are very protective about their feelings. They don't want to get hurt. But anyway, I'll tell you a story, by the way, a personal story. Are you in for a little personal story? Because I have Venus in Scorpio natally, and And I wouldn't want to trade it for anything, you know, the Venus in Scorpio. Although in the literature of the astrology, there are written some heavy stuff about a Venus in Scorpio. But every time when when a planet is in detriment, you need to do an alternative application of that planet. And then it can become actually your strength instead of your weakness. So I don't believe in this is good, this is bad. I believe in how you as a soul apply what you've got. And as I said, hopefully most of us are going towards the strong Venus in Scorpio, which is commitment, which is full, true, deep love. And that is about letting go sometimes. And not towards all those dark negative sides of it. But it's quite interesting. So we all have a lesson here to know that, okay, if we want something and we feel that we're getting a bit toxic, that we're getting a bit too greedy to want it, and every time that we want it a bit more, it goes a bit further because we are really on the steer and we're really saying, I want it, I want it. And when you feel that is happening, my advice is let it go. But that will be just the process that you need to go through. Because when, Scorpio knows truly what's going on. It is very intuitive. So, but it's about going through that process. Because it's very easy to say you cannot go. Let's say you want a certain job or you want a certain person. you want to get involved with that person. And all the signs and the universe is saying no. But it's so compelling. Remember, Scorpio is all about compulsive behavior. It's a lot about it's stronger than us. It takes us over. So a lot of us will have to go through that process in order for them to let it go. And where is the salvation? Well, the salvation is, and that's going to be when Venus starts going direct again. I'll tell the dates in a minute. The salvation is when you can let go of what you truly desire, even when you're not getting it, and you're letting it go, then you are free. And then you are like the phoenix. And this is amazing because a Venus in Scorpio is all about that. When you long for something that is not on your path, that process of, you could say of pain, I wish I had another word for it, but that process, and then it makes you stronger. It doesn't get you, totally under there or depressed or whatever. No, it gets you relieved and free. So in other words, in a nutshell, this is all about mastering your desires, and that's giving you the strength. So I hate to say a good Venus in Scorpio. I mean, there are people with Venus in Scorpio, and especially younger people, they go through these things, and we are having it now in a transit, so we are all going through these things quite rapidly. So we have 4 months of time to go through that process of strengthening our desires and controlling them, because if we cannot control our desires, we are a puppet for them and we are not strong. So Scorpio is all about strength. And what is strength? Strength is not manipulating someone. Strength is not controlling someone. That's nothing that has to do with strength. Strength is, I want something, I'm putting my I'm trying to get what I want here, and if it's not working out, I don't need it. I'm okay with that, and I'm rising above it, so to speak. I transcend it. I trust. Trust is a big word for Scorpio. I trust that the universe or God knows exactly what I want or what I don't need at the moment. So that is the strength of the Scorpio, that they raise above their own desire nature. That's why we always say about Scorpio that a lot is going on under the surface, because there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of desire nature there, but it's controlled. That is a true Scorpio that can transcend that and use that desire into something productive, something constructive, something creative even. So I'll tell you a story about this transformation process, so to speak. And it's a bit of a simple story. It's a bit of a, but it's going to show you exactly what this nature that all of us are going to experience, depending, of course, of the area of our lives, but that strong desire nature and how to master that and how to become this stronger version of ourselves. Because ultimately, what does Scorpio want? It wants us, does it want to have that we are in pain and all of that? No, it just wants us to be a strong personality so that we can transform others. And remember, transformation is the key word here, because we are going to be transformed through connections with each other. So, to give you a story, it was when, how old was I? I think 18 or something. That I had a transit on my Venus in Scorpio, so it was activated, and I can't remember which one, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And I was at university, I was at the first year of university, and I had my eyes on a guy. And not just, a Venus in Scorpio doesn't fall in love like that. No, it's like pain almost. The Scorpio version, it's like, oh my God, it's super, super focused. It's a laser beam of focus, and I've got to have this person and I won't let go. And it was starting a bit as a game, a bit passionate, and I was passionate about these guys. I studied at a university with 900 students in the first year. Can you imagine? And I was the only redhead in Belgium. I mean, it's quite rare, red hair. It's not really common in Belgium. So I thought, I have an asset here. I mean, because I didn't know this guy, and his name was Alessandro. He was an Italian student, and I was so smitten, and I would do everything that he would notice me. But whatever I did, he didn't notice me. He didn't notice and I thought, I couldn't understand. That's another thing about Venus and Scorpio. They are so like this. They don't understand that there could be other reasons. So how a Venus and Scorpio operates, when they have a certain desire, they just super focus and they do anything. So I was trying out all kinds of clothes. I was sitting next to him, behind him, in front of him. It didn't matter. He was always into his books. He was always I thought he was a passionate guy because he was so passionate about his books. And I made a wrong assumption, of course. I thought, if he can be as passionate towards his studying, mind you, if he's going to, be passionate about me one day, but that's a wrong assumption. Doesn't mean because you're passionate about one thing that you're, anyways. So I kept on doing all kinds of tricks, and I went far. I really even, at a certain level, I thought I've got to learn Italian. So I learned Italian. Can you imagine? There's always a good thing about obsessions, because now I know a little bit Italian. Allora, dunque, sì, ha qualcosa da dichiarare? So I do know a little bit of Italian. That's the good thing about it. But it was getting worse and worse. This guy was in my mind 24 hours. And that is, I'm trying to explain here in a funny way, but it wasn't funny at all during the time. It wasn't really. I mean, most people, I can imagine with a Venus in Libra or Venus in Gemini, love is like, whoo, it's very flirty, it's very easy, but no, not with Scorpio. So I did everything. Nothing helped. Alessandro was just in love with his books, but I didn't give up. So and now it comes when you even start feeling, on a very visceral level, that I should stop here. What does Scorpio do? It continues. It goes on and on and on, and it goes so deep into the abyss that it absolutely is obsessive. And there was a party, and this was a bit of my last hope. So whatever I did, he didn't notice me. It was awful. And there was how do you translate that in English? A kotveuf. I don't know. People who are Dutch or Flemish, give me the translation, please. I don't know. The translation is like a party with someone at their, where they're living, where they're studying. and they're inviting all kinds of people. And, you know, the amount of people are like 40, 50 people, so it's very, very, very small. And he was going to be there. So I thought, I'm going to be there too. And this is going to be my last, you know, I was in that process of feeling that when I go further, it's going to be worse, but I couldn't stop. You know, that's the compulsive behavior that I just said. And it was really taking over. He had too much power over me, although he didn't know, he didn't realize. But mind you, if someone realizes that, how they can abuse you. So that's why, you know, the Scorpio thing has so many, Venus and Scorpio has so many negative connotations. But anyways, so I thought I'm going to that party. I'm going to say hello to him, and really it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. He's gonna notice me. At least he's gonna notice me. So I put on the best things that you know, what does a Venus in Scorpio wear when they were trying to seduce? Black. So probably if you all have a bit of a, you know, you want to wear black, the Venus in Scorpio is operating. Okay, so I did, and I was really, really in the mood, and I was really going to that party, really, really excited, and I was there the earliest, of course, and I saw him coming in with a couple of friends. I went to him, I wanted to say hello, and his hello was like this. You know, it was like he was in another world or something. Hello, hello. Really like this, I'm not exaggerating. Hello, hello. And off he was. And then something happened with me. I think probably another transit, but anyway, something happened in that process that I felt like, what an asshole are you? You can't even just say hello to me. You can't even look into my eyes and say hello. Is that too much for you? And it kind of was a wake-up call. It was like, Veerle, do you want for the rest of your life doing so much and putting so much energy just to notice you? And it cracked. It totally, you know, the transformation was taking place out there. It totally was clear to me, and I was ready through that suffering. I call it suffering. I mean, I don't have any other word for that. It's certainly not enjoying. And it really came clear that I don't want this. And the strength, that is the strength that is coming in. The strength that is saying, you know what? I don't need this. If it comes, it's good, but it was not meant to me, meant for me. So I'm going to stop here. This is ridiculous. This is me lowering myself, the Venus self-worth. So I was in those kind of seconds. This is about, I'm explaining a feeling of some seconds. I was like, I have to get back my power, basically. And that's what Venus in Scorpio is all about. So for a lot of you, it's going to be getting back your power in a certain area, whether that would be a person, whether that would be a situation, a job, a house, whatever. You're getting your power back because you're rising above your desire. So something energetically happens. I don't know a lot about quantum physics, but I think what happened there, and you cannot force yourself. You cannot force yourself. And I wish that that moment happened earlier on, but it didn't. So that's why Scorpio needs its process. It's really, and when it's going retrograde and all of that, it's really going to be a process for all of us. But not all of us this story, of course. So what happened? I let go, and I said to myself, I'm going to enjoy myself this evening. And there was what was called some mojitos. I didn't go into drinking straight away, of course, but I said, I'm going to take this mojito. There was good music going on. I'm going to dance, and I don't care who is here. I'm just going to enjoy myself. And I did. It was like that liberation. I felt amazing. I was dancing on that dance floor. I was having a good time. I didn't need anything. I was kind of liberated. I was liberated from, it's like it was the devil for me, so to speak, because, you know, you're on a chain, and now the chains were just cut. And what happened to me is very interesting. And of course, it won't happen to all of you like this, but what happened to me was the following. There was like a slow going on, a song, a very slow song. And I wasn't intended at all to slow with someone, but I was like, I didn't know a lot of people there. So I was a bit slowing on my own with my arms like that, with my eyes closed. And all of a sudden, someone came into that little circle of mine and was slowing with me. And I opened my eyes and I was staring into the eyes of Alessandro. Can you imagine? He all of a sudden was interested to someone who didn't notice me for months. I think this was like 6 months or something. All of a sudden, because I let go of that energy, you know, the quantum physics, I think, that is happening there. There's something that happens. It's like people who want to get pregnant and they overdo it, you know, they want, and then they are very obsessive, and they you know, we have to make love at that time, and at that time, you know, you're getting all that controlling energy over there and nothing works. And then you often hear when they let go of the desire, they get pregnant. That it was something like that, you know. He was there, and even on that night we kissed. We even kissed on that night, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. As I said, he was very obsessed about his books, not about love. Anyway, but it doesn't mean to say that when you let go of something, something comes to you. It can, it is. So also for you out there who has a certain desire there and you want to get it, it's not about let go of it and it come to you. It might, but also it might not. And that is the best that could happen for you. You have to trust the universe for that. And if you're doing that, you're going to be strengthening your self-worth, because that's what Venus is all about. It's not Mars here that is involved. It's about Venus. It's about our self-worth. Now, anyway, I know it's a long story, but that was my first, how would I say, my first strong transit on my Venus. And I think all people with Venus and Scorpio will have at least one experience like that. But then you know yourself. You're getting to know yourself, and you know what's happening, and you're strengthening because of that. Because the true Venus in Scorpio, they own something. Remember, Scorpio, Taurus, these are the signs, because they are opposite each other. These are the signs that are all about ownership, that are all about possessiveness as well, but that are all about what you have, what you don't have, and how you deal with it. Now, this is it's going to be quite an intense period for, and when does this start? It starts as from today. Venus goes into the shadow period. It's at 25 degrees of Libra, so it's at the very end of Libra, not in Scorpio yet. It gets into Scorpio on the 10th of September, and then at 10 degrees of Scorpio on the 6th of October, the 6th of October, 10 degrees of Scorpio, it goes back. So it goes 9 degrees, 8 degrees, 0 degrees of Scorpio, 29 degrees of Libra, up until 25 degrees of Libra again. And then it goes direct again on 25 degrees of Libra on the 17th of November. And then in December, on the 18th of December, it's out of its shadow period, which will be at those 10 degrees of Scorpio. So we have time. For this very interesting period. And why is it so interesting? It's not just the Venus in Scorpio. And particularly in September, it's the opposition with Uranus. And that is liberation. And that is excitement. It squares also up to Mars. So a lot will be about love, and a lot will be about very strong desires. But also remember, when you're feeling that pull, when you're feeling that compulsive nature of yours, because you want to achieve something, because you want to have something, be aware if it's positive or negative energy. Be aware that it's about a process. If you feel that you're not getting what you want, it's the best for you. So it can make stronger your connection with the divine, actually. this experience. So I'm going through the signs in another video for what it's gonna be, you know, for Aries, for Taurus, etc. In what kind of area of your life you will feel this, and what's the lesson there. But I think that I made myself clear. The lesson here is strengthening your self-worth. That's basically it. In other words, with the Uranus as well, this is about liberating yourself from a very strong desire. So that Uranus makes it totally different flavor, because Uranus is all about, I don't want to be in chain, I don't want to be under the skin of something or someone, I want to be free. So that it's like that Uranus is kind of helping us with this energy to make it a bit lighter, to make it a bit not as dramatic as normally a Venus in Scorpio would be. So yes, strong desires are out there, strong compulsive needs that we're gonna have, but ultimately it's there to make you a stronger person. It's there to become more valuable, to know what your value is, and to love yourself. Basically, that's ultimately the end goal. Having said that, I wish you all the best with the Venus in Scorpio, and let's have a look at what it is for each sign. Bye bye.